Hi. Minasan, ohayo gozaimasu. And good morning from Narita Airport Terminal 1 station. In this video, we will be taking Jin Air's Boeing 777 in premium economy class from Tokyo Narita to Seoul Incheon, a city pair that sees over 60 flights daily. Normally, I produce content on the Japanese railways, but I find it worthwhile to do some flight reviews here and there. But if you like Japanese railway content, please consider subscribing anyway to the channel. And with that out of the way, let's begin. The station has 4 tracks, with 2 tracks for JR trains and another 2 for through services on the Keisei Sky Access network. And because I stayed in Chiba the previous night, I wound up just taking the Sobu Rapid train to the airport, which got the job done in around 45 minutes and about 700 yen. Walking past the fare gates, we find this incredible display of the terminal in Lego, and as we arrive at the check-in desks, it became quite obvious that this flight needed a 777. Right now it's about 10 AM on the Friday of Halloween weekend, and the line is moving quite fast. By 10:20 I was left with my carry-on luggage, which is really the only thing I had with me anyways. And honestly, I found it quite a bit strange how people were checking in their carry-ons. Immigration went smooth as well. Unlike in Canada, there is no taking out of laptops and electronics out of bags, though that is set to change soon. And that bought me some time to quickly do some shopping inside the terminal. Over at gate 23, we see our 777 to be used on our busy Friday morning flight. This is Hector Lima 7743, a 777-200ER, formerly of Korean Air. It was delivered in 2006, flew for Korean Air until 2014, and transferred to Jin Air in November of that year. Jin Air employs a fleet of 4 777s, all of which are ex-Korean Air. The fleet is known for being the first wide bodies for a Korean budget carrier, and at the time of posting, they are found on flights connecting Seoul to Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Phu Quoc, which is an island vacation spot in Vietnam. In fact, the last of these is a recent timetable revision for the NW24 season for Koreans looking to escape the colder climate as an alternative to Jeju Island. We proceed to board the plane. Now, I'm not sure if all other airports do this, but we take advantage of 2 footbridges on this wide-body airliner. As we are seated in premium economy today, we head left. Now that we're seated, it's still quite a bit of time before we get to the runway, so let's talk more about the airline in general. The airline is a budget carrier which started operating in 2008. A year later, they started flights to Bangkok and have since expanded out to the general vicinity in East Asia with connections to Japan, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Thailand to name a few. Code share agreements are in place with Korean Air and Japan's Jetstar. And to date, they are the second largest budget carrier in the Korean market behind T-Way Air, which we will also do a review on. In addition to the 777s, the airline also operates a fleet of 26 737s with 19 -800s, 3 -900s, and 4 MAX 8s. Now that we're in position, here's our takeoff from runway 34 left. Our flight takes us just over the Shiatsu region, over the Sea of Japan, and eventually over the eastern mountains of South Korea. The total flight time is around 2 hours. While in the air, let's do our seat tour. The seats are the same all across the aircraft, which pretty much means really the difference between premium economy and economy is priority boarding and increased legroom. This aircraft has 45 premium economy seats and 348 economy seats in a 343 configuration for a total of 393 seats. For this flight, we are seated in 3A, which is window seat on the left side of the aircraft. Normally you would find an IFE console in the seat back, but since this is a domestic plane, you instead find these magazines, the air sickness bag, and the safety instruction card. The seat can be reclined and the headrest is adjustable. There's also a window shade, which most chose to keep closed for the flight. Under the seat, there's a power outlet that can take both the international and Korean style outlet plugs. Now let's go back to those safety cards real quick, because whoever made these safety cards is a freaking genius. During an emergency landing, of course you can't just sit at the exit and listen to Day 6 and take in the scenery after she left you. And I guess on water landings, the flight attendants mysteriously turn into mermaids on the wing structure. And it's Jin Air. So if anyone from BTS is watching, hey look, you have the chance to do the funniest thing ever, right Jin? Anyways. Now this flight was so short to the point where I did not get a chance to look at the IFE. But as I rip open some Pokemon cards, let's go over that. A small selection of entertainment can be found on the Airline's app called JINI PLUS. This app connects to the in-flight Wi-Fi, and apparently it's pay-as-you-go, with the exception of some domestic flights where instead the service is free. So in the end, I'm glad to have brought my own entertainment with me instead. Now I'm starting to get hungry, so this will be our segue onto the in-flight snacks. Now to order food on the flight, you will have to look at the menu in the seat back pocket. The prices are actually really cheap, and this is coming from someone who lives in the city where the music video for Like You by Twice was filmed. This bag of prawn crackers only costs $2 Canadian, and that's pretty much the market price for this snack in Canada. And to actually buy, they only accept the well-reputable, internationally recognized debit and credit cards such as Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and etc. And that also means I highly doubt they take transit cards such as Japan's IC cards and Korea's T-Money card. Moving on to toilets, it comes out to one lavatory to every 39 passengers. Quite frankly, my only expectation is that everything is working, that there is a baby changing station, and that the bathroom is clean. This one gets a pass. And looking at regular economy, the difference in legroom is very evident. Those seats are cheaper, but honestly, not by much. Not long after, the flight attendants come by with the arrival cards. With all that said, here are some scenes for our flight and our descent and landing into Seoul Incheon, also on their runway 34 left. As we taxi, let's do our final summary and review of the booking process. For $177 US, this was a good experience to have on my first 777. Being able to communicate with the flight crew in English was an added bonus for me at least. The big winner for me was the decently priced food. However, one has to ponder, at such low prices for snacks, it might just make more sense to hand out smaller snacks out for free instead, or have a complimentary food and beverage service integrated into the fare, which we'll talk about more right now. This ticket was booked in August, around 3 months before the flight. The base fare was $155 US, while the ancillary service for seat selection in premium class cost another $22 US. The ancillary service came with 10 kilograms of carry-on luggage, not including your backpack, and 15 kilograms of checked luggage, and the ability to cancel or reschedule. Now in the booking process, you can also buy your in-flight meals, and just by looking at the prices, this is also an amount I would also pay for an in-flight meal. However, in retrospect, this is something I should have done, as for one, the plane lands after lunchtime, and two, I personally like to check in as close to boarding time as possible. So after all, I find this to be a decent price to pay to experience a wide body on this short but really busy international route. Lastly, I feel like the K-ETA needs to be mentioned, which is Korea's forward entry arrival program. As I kind of alluded to earlier, I am exempt from this program as I own a Canadian passport. However, that is set to change on the 1st of January 2025, where this exception ends and K-ETA becomes mandatory for all travelers. It would have been nice to be made super clear on the airline's website, but honestly, to each their own. I think it's really the responsibility of the traveler anyways. My only advice is that you would need to fill this out no earlier than 72 hours before your scheduled arrival in Korea. And there are a bunch of guides and videos out there that can cover this topic in more detail. And just like that, we arrive at Incheon Airport at Terminal 2, and the end of this part of the journey. After immigration, you'll be taking the Airport Express straight into downtown Seoul, but that's a video for another time. Please subscribe and thank you for watching. This is Suncheese Railway. 감사합니다. 고조샤 마코토니 아리가또 고자이마시타.